Hello, and you're listening to the Tiny Event Podcast with me, Dr. Nicole Sue, and my fiance.
By the way, I'm starting to take a little bit of offense at how much of a big long sigh you're doing before you're saying that we're getting married.
How many months of rent have you not paid, Jez?
Parts of 2.5. Anyway, yesterday, Nicole's horse, Rocky, bucked her off, and she was thrown, and she hit her head, and she was unconscious for a short amount of time. And while she's apparently fine now, and she says indestructible, I just want to say that if you are the first person to email tinyvetpod@gmail.com, I'm currently considering any and all offers on a large amount of glue. What are we talking about today, my love?
Yeah, good friggin' luck getting him out of the paddock himself and turning. Good luck. Like, you're scared of him.
I'm not scared of him, but the moment you walk out of eyesight, like, he's a much worse behaved horse.
Yeah.
And when you're there, he's bucking you off, so...
Also, to be fair, I only fell off on, like, the 4th or 5th buck. Like, I did pretty well.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying it's his.
Oh, yeah, it was totally his fault. It's because he's very dumb.
Record that time code, by the way, that finally a horse person said it was the horse's fault. Thank
Well,
God.
He got excited by all the other horses. It was adult riders.
Yeah, he does. He likes to show off. And
he wanted to canter, and I said, no, you can't canter. And then he had a bit of a tantrum.
Fine,
and
you're going to go unconscious then.
Couldn't stop. And after I fell off, he did his, like, racing trot around the ground. And afterwards, everyone was like, oh, he can really move. I'm like, yes, I realized. Yeah. Thanks.
It moved you from being awake to not.
It would have been a second, if that, of unconsciousness.
Yeah. But you definitely did lose time. You definitely woke up and you were like, where am I? I
knew where I was. Like, I don't think I was fully unconscious.
It's funny, the story's changing a lot as
but
the days progress.
my vision did get blurry. I think it was blurry for like a solid 30 seconds. And I wasn't sure at that point if my contacts had been knocked out or if my eyeballs were vibrating.
When I woke you up that night to check if your brain was bleeding, I wasn't 100% sure you'd be awake. Like, someone at the gig I was like, oh, how's your partner? I was like, oh, she just got thrown off a horse and made unconscious, and so maybe when I go home, she will never wake up again.
I wasn't unconscious for very long, and I don't think I was fully unconscious.
No. Anyway, what's the subject matter we're talking about today, my love?
Invasive species.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like horses.
Actually, they are.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is going to be very controversial because they're such a, like, native legend kind of thing. Like in Australia, and in the US as well, which are the two kind of main places that have feral horses.
Okay.
So feral versus wild. So
Rocky's a feral horse.
Yeah. So feral is that they're domesticated animals that have then repopulated wherever. Wild is just they've never been domesticated.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there's actually a distinction between them.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So technically, like Brumbies and Mustangs, they're feral horses because they descended from domesticated horses. Whereas there's really only one true wild horse left, and that's a Przewalski's horse in Mongolia. What? Przewalski.
Okay.
And that's the only true remaining wild horse.
Right. There's never been domesticated.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, they actually almost went extinct some time ago, but they've bounced back through, conservation and captive breeding.
Oh, cool. All right.
Nice. I love them. They're great.
Okay, so feral is generally something that's been like imported or whatever.
Yeah, so like feral cats.
Yeah.
Feral rabbits. Like usually, I will try and refer to the wild ones here as feral because.
Oh, okay. You call them wildies though.
Yes, we do call them wildies.
Okay. Oh, so they're feral.
Yeah, they're very
I don't know.
cute,
For me,
though.
like, something. If you say something's feral, I'm just like, oh, it's got rabies. Like.
Yeah,
feral
it's
sounds
just
dangerous in a way that wild doesn't.
Yeah, it's just a term. I guess you could assign any other word to it, but that's a term, and that's a distinction between them.
Yep.
And yeah, our kind of feral animals are often invasive. So the Brumbies, I know there's a lot of controversy and emotion around culling of the wild Brumbies here in Australia.
Right.
Because they're Australia, and if you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Australia never evolved with hoofed mammals.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Like, yeah, because
like our landscape's just not actually.
Yeah, it's super dry and arid. There aren't like deep roots and all that stuff.
But also
and so it's like the kangaroos because they're just like hopping on top of
pads,
it. Yeah.
But the real problem is in the high country, so the wetter, higher alpine regions, because it's wetter. There's give to the soil, and so the hoofed animals, they really rip up and they destroy the soil.
Yeah, okay.
So they're actually a really big problem for maintaining kind of Australia's alpine ecosystem.
Right.
But because, they're pretty much like legendary creatures here in Australia, like there's a lot of pushback behind reducing their numbers.
Yeah, sure. I mean...
And same in the US as well with the Mustangs.
Yeah, I mean, any of that culling stuff, it just feels... mean. Unpleasant. Yeah, it feels it feels not nice. Even though I still can understand intellectually that it's supposed to happen. Yeah, because it's destroying the ecosystem, whatever. Yeah.
So there's that. And there's lots of other invasive species, and basically an invasive species is just one that is foreign, is an alien species to that environment, and unfortunately has adapted really, really well.
Yeah, sure. To that environment. So it's like destroying the food web.
Yeah, so I think we've spoken about rainbow lorikeets in WA before.
Yeah, right.
And again, people get really upset about that.
And rabbits is another great example.
Yeah, and and that's the thing, like some of these species are so good at what they do, or they're so well adapted to that particular environment that it can be impossible to stop them.
Yeah, sure.
So like red-eared sliders, the terrapins... turtles, they're really common little turtles that you get in like the US, UK.
Okay.
Pretty much everywhere but Australia. And they are illegal here, even though they're so common overseas, because they have the potential to be a crazy invasive species.
Sort of, I feel like at least if there were turtles, it's a lot cuter than cane toads. I wouldn't mind seeing hundreds of little turtles around.
Oh, they get big.
Oh, yeah?
I had some as a kid, and they get, like, enormous.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
But yeah, it's really cute.
But yeah, I think because Australia, just as a landmass, was so separated for so long.
Yeah, it's no hoofed mammals.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Such a delicate ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's no surprise that when you introduce things, they just go hog wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think, isn't it New Zealand, there's like no predators or something?
There's no land-based predators. That's why all the birds nest on the ground.
Yeah, so
and then when like the stoats
everything in New
came,
Zealand's just like, hey, what's up, man? I'm just going to chill out because there's just...
so sad!
Well, there's no one there to predate them, yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. And like penguins as well. Like the researchers in Antarctica and stuff. Apparently the penguins just come over and be like, hello, can I also do some science, please? It's really cute. Yeah, it's crazy. New Zealand also has a species of ground-dwelling bat. Like, that's how long they've been without terrestrial predators.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, cane toads, one. And you are going to be surprised. A Chinese mitten crab. Okay. Remember the hairy crabs that we had in Shanghai?
I do. I remember the huge amount of work it is to eat a hairy crab. And I'm never going to bother with that.
They're an invasive species in Europe. Oh. And they're causing a lot of problems in like European waterways.
I'm somehow not surprised that crabs are a problem.
Why?
I don't trust crabs.
Everything becomes crab?
Yeah, everything becomes crabs, and I just don't trust them. Like we had a big box of live crabs here for a bit recently because you were gonna eat crabs, and
in case
every time I walk by the box, like these crabs were just like clack 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 clack, and they look scary and dangerous and malicious. I don't trust a crab.
That's fair. In case it's not clear, I'm Asian. So we do.
Most white people don't bring home a big box of live crabs.
Yeah, but that's how you gotta do them. Yeah, invasive species. Humans are an invasive species. I have long.
Yes, we're the greatest invasive species of all.
Disgusting.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, we're doing our part. I've had my vasectomy.
Yeah, that is true. Our only children are rabbits and the occasional possum.
Yes.
The Tiny Vet podcast is brought to you by Upilio. Sources for our topics can be found at upilio.io. Outro music by Matt Charleston.